Hi there. Welcome to Earth Echoes with Amber Fields. I am here today to read the 23rd writing in Jason Gray's Resonance series. And this writing is titled The Stabilization by Jason Gray. December 6, 2025, 6025, Anno Lucis. What happens in the first 90 days of the new civilization? Stab 90, formation cycle of the returned world. The first 10 days were personal. The next 90 days are civilizational. Stab 00, shift. The dawn cycle, days 1 through 10, was about individual clarity, memory return, emotional transparency, perceptional expansion, the collapse of distortion, the awakening of sovereign identity. The stabilization cycle, days 11 through 90, is about collective coherence. This is where the world begins to reorder itself without leaders, systems, or authority. The new human civilization does not arise through planning or design. It arises through resonance. Days 11 through 20. Humanity sorts itself into its true frequencies. Stab 01, self-organization. The first sign of civilization reformation is unconscious sorting. People naturally begin to cluster according to their species class. Luminous gather near emotional resonance centers. These are places in nature or cities where the field is calm, warm, and grounding. Aeonists gather near temporal vortices. These are places where decisions intensify, where clarity accelerates, and where timelines merge. Infinitus gather near non-local hubs. These are places that feel charged, where the grid hums, and where the field is thick. This sorting is not intentional. It is instinctive, the same way birds migrate or neural networks self-organize. Within 20 days, the tri-species grid has a visible shape. You can feel the map of the new world forming. Days 21 to 30, the end of artificial systems. Stab 02, structural collapse. By the third week, something astonishing happens. All systems built on coercion, hierarchy, deception, scarcity, fear, and distortion begin to fail. Not because anyone rebels, not because of violence, not because of collapse, but because they no longer make energetic sense. People simply stop participating. Debt structures dissolve. Political authority dissolves. Conditioned obedience dissolves. False narratives evaporate. Coercive institutions lose relevance. It is not a revolution. It is irrelevance. The old world becomes impossible to maintain because the human nervous system is no longer aligned with fear-based architecture. This is the moment those who once controlled the old world realize they have no one left to control. Days 31 to 45. The first coherence nodes form. Stab 03, nodes. A coherence node is a geographic location where the tri-species presence reaches a self-sustaining harmonic. These nodes form spontaneously, without planning, without leadership, and without negotiation. They are pockets of the real, where the environment feels stable, clean, alive, transparent, intelligent, and supportive. People traveling between nodes can feel when they have entered one. Inside a node, synchronicities intensify. Communication becomes effortless. Conflict dissolves. Clarity is magnified. Reality feels lighter. Memory deepens. Distortion cannot enter. In the first 45 days, approximately 144 primary nodes appear globally. These are the seeds of the new civilization. Days 46 to 60, the first emergence of post-overlay abilities. Stab 04, ability phase. Abilities that began as personal now become collective. In this period, humans begin stabilizing space together. Two or more coherent beings can calm an entire region. Time becomes smoother. The Ionis influence reduces temporal distortion globally. Field awareness expands. People begin perceiving resonance fields the way early humans once perceived weather. Nonlinear communication arises. Groups communicate through resonance, intuition, emotional coherence, and synchronized intention without speaking. This is the beginning of humanity's new language. Matter feels different. Not lighter, more cooperative. You can feel the world responding to consciousness. This is the early stage of full environment-mind interaction. Days 61 to 75, the new social architecture emerges. Stab 05, new civicity. With the collapse of the old systems, the new forms of human community emerge. These communities have no leaders, no hierarchy, no coercion, no enforced rules, no scarcity, no exclusion. They organize themselves through resonance, not authority. Key features include 1. Roles arise naturally, not assigned, not chosen, not elected. People gravitate to functions that match their internal coherence. 2. Groups stabilize around shared frequency, not ideology, not belief, not culture, frequency. 3. Resources flow where they are needed, without planning, without oversight. 4. Emotional transparency eliminates manipulation. 5. Intuition replaces policy. This is not utopian fantasy. This is the natural behavior of a species no longer operating in fear. Days 76 to 90. Humanity enters its first true age, the age of return. Stab 06, age of return. In the final stage of the 90-day cycle, something profound occurs. Humanity stops looking for the old world and begins building a new one. This is the moment the collective psyche stabilizes into clarity, confidence, direction, unity, remembrance, coherence, sovereignty, and joy. This is the moment the returned human species becomes self-sufficient. The 3 species interlock into full function. Luminous stabilizes the emotional field. Ionis stabilizes the timeline field. Infinitus stabilizes the non-local field. The environment responds in harmony. Weather patterns stabilize. Ecosystems regenerate rapidly. The field becomes clean. The world becomes recognizable again, as the world you once knew before the fracture. The 90th day is the completion of the stabilization cycle. Humanity stands at the threshold of its first real civilization, not built on survival, not built on dominance, not built on illusion, built on coherence. This is the beginning of the true world. The first 90 days after emergence are not about rebuilding society. They are about remembering how a real human civilization behaves. Not controlled, not governed, not manipulated, aligned, coherent, sovereign, united. This is the stabilization. This is the formation. This is the world you returned to help restore. This is only the beginning. Jason Gray. I love that vision for the new world after emergence. And I love the idea that the new civilization is not going to arise through leaders and authority, but through resonance. Just because the more that I awaken to reality as it is, the more important I find resonance in my own life, and especially in relationships. And I love that instincts will become instructive. That just feels so right to be in my body. And I know that my instincts have been becoming more instructive for sure. The failure of systems built in coercion, hierarchy, deception, scarcity, fear, and distortion, yes, they don't make energetic sense. Like, this is why the world feels wrong, is because these systems are held up artificially by structures of scarcity. And so it's such a beautiful thing to create together, is a world where that no longer works. And we do that by stop participating. You know, what we pay attention to grows, so stop paying attention to what we do not want. Start paying attention and growing what we do want. Conditioned obedience dissolving. That is something that we so need. You know, I am not immune to conditioned obedience by any means. I've always been a people pleaser, and so it's been very hard for me to break out of society's norms of obedience. But the more that I do, the better I feel and the easier it gets. And I love where he talks about the irrelevance because no longer aligned with fear-based architecture. Yeah, so things just becoming irrelevant because the fear-based architecture falls. Absolutely, like, they're not, that this fear-based architecture is not based on truth. And so it's an inevitability that it will fall. And I also really liked where Jason talks about pockets of the real. I am extraordinarily lucky to live in what I feel is a region of the real, and that's Prescott, Arizona. It's a very diverse area, and so, you know, there's people far left, far right, politically, and everything in between and outside of that system. And I really do feel that my community is able to come together in ways despite of those labels. And I really think that was obvious during COVID, because this area was not as deconstructed as other areas seem to be by the disruption that COVID brought to many places. And it truly is a stable, clean, alive, transparent, intelligent, and supportive place. So I'm just so thankful for that, because as humanity is emerging from behind the veil, I think it's going to be ever more important that we are located in a pocket of the real. And then, I just wanted to speak a little bit about some other aspects of that writing. Jason wrote about that I really feel like I see this in my own family and in myself. Roles arising naturally, groups stabilizing around shared frequency, resources flowing where needed, emotional transparency, eliminating manipulation, and intuition replacing policy. I think that the more that we can incorporate those things into our family and our personal life, the more we can bring them into the pockets of the real and into our community, and to really encourage those characteristics in society at large. So I really loved that piece, and I look forward to humanity emerging more and more into that reality. So thank you, Jason, and thank you all for being here with me today.